lake house. We won't be back.
Yeah.
No one pulls this high bill. Who does what? How's the money traveled?
Good evening. Welcome to our February 1st committee meeting.
When me?
We're all paying attention.
All right. No, I need to say Garrett and Tracy will not be in attendance tonight. So we'll start out with the committee of the whole. Bridget, you're going to do that? Okay. Besides your name here. Well, sometimes Dave gives an introduction.
You're right. No, she's got it. She's there.
All right. Should have known.
I'm ready.
Sorry.
Good evening. I am here because we are looking to broaden the applicant pool for the revolving loan fund committee. So originally this committee was established when the city received Economic Development Administration or EDA funds to start a revolving loan fund back in the late 80s. At that time, the board composition was basically dictated by the federal agency that we had to have 3 commercial lenders, 1 real estate agent, and 1 lawyer. It was manned with that composition for many years up until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. The position of attorney has been vacant for quite some time. We also did not have a commercial real estate agent. So we did ask the EDA at that time if we could make it a real estate agent, which would include residential. They allowed that. We did get one applicant, but they sat on the board for a year and did not want to continue. So currently, we have 3 members. They were all commercial lenders. And we have a case, actually, that's before us, a challenging case, and one of the lending representatives has to recuse themselves because the loan, a primary loan associated in the portfolio is with their bank. So this creates a problem. We don't have a quorum. I need a quorum in order to have actions taken on these loans. So you may remember back in February of last year, we were granted permission by the EDA to, they called it de-interest, which basically, because we managed our portfolio so well, they let us self-manage. So we did keep our 5-year plan the same with a couple modifications, and one of them does allow us the latitude to adjust our revolving loan fund board if we were having trouble getting applicants. So I'm here before you to ask for that to be formally changed because it is in an ordinance, that we have 5 members that are comprised of any of the 3 categories, which includes basically a commercial lender, a real estate agent, or an attorney. So if we were to get a 4th commercial lender on the board, that would be okay. The specificity is really creating some challenges for us these last year and especially these last 2 months. So I can take any questions.
Question from Council, John?
Bridget, the realtor, is that, or real estate agent, has to be a broker or just a licensed agent?
We went with basically a licensed agent. I mean, we are pretty open to it at this point. We obviously would prefer a commercial real estate agent because just, you know, structuring the portfolio and finances for commercial is a little different than a home, but we would be open to either.
It would be really tough to find a commercial agent that wants to.
Since Denny Everhart passed away, we have not had that position filled, but actually with a commercial lender, or a commercial real estate agent.
Further, John?
No, that's it.
Heidi?
Do these individuals have to live within the city of Kent?
At this point, we allow them to work in the city of Kent. I will say, though, that they have to be with a bank that has a presence in the city, and they have to be a practicing attorney. Carol Creamy was our attorney for many years, and then when she retired and let her license lapse, she left. So that position has literally been open since Carol retired, which has been at least, I believe, 5 years.
So the attorney would have to have their business in Kent or live in Kent?
Correct. Correct. So business, office, or residence.
Further, Heidi?
No.
Mr. Turner?
Who establishes the composition?
The original composition was established by the Economic Development Administration, the federal agency that gave us the initial seed money to set up the revolving loan fund program. So that composition is not changing so much as the number, the specificity of the number of those 3. The reason being is the revolving loan fund, they are business loans. Going through a business portfolio is something that you have to have some experience with. You have to understand debt service. You have to understand how to read P&I sheets, a lot of financials. So it's not something that somebody that doesn't have some familiarity with that type of documentation can just step in and pick up very easily.
So then that would be established by the lending agent, the federal government.
Right. So we are basically keeping the same 3 categories of lender, a commercial lender representative, as well as a real estate agent and attorney. What we're changing is the number, because right now it says 1 attorney, 1 real estate agent, 3 commercial. If we get 1 attorney and 4 commercial lenders, we want to be able to mix it up within those 3 categories.
Further, Robin?
No, thank you.
Mr. Turner? John?
Yeah, is there any possibilities of somehow inclusive of a CPA?
The EDA did not have that in its original. It is definitely something that now that we are self-managed, we could do. Our 5-year plan that we are using to manage our revolving loan fund program does not have that in there, so we could amend that, bring that forward, and then come back and amend this. So we'd have to amend that first. But it is a possibility.
Further? Anybody else have questions? Anybody from the audience? Back to council
I would move to approve
And I'll
with the
second that.
emergency.
with emergency.
I'll second that.
Second, more discussion, Gwen?
No, I think this sounds reasonable, and we've got to take care of business, so thank you.
Further, Heidi?
Nope.
Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Boards and commissions, we have an interview, Ms. Wilkins. What do you need?
Her name. I'm sorry. Caught me off guard. I'm sorry, Patricia Lowry. Got a little rusty.
State your name and your address and
I've
kind
been
of,
rusty all day.
Just some of us.
My name is Pat Lowry. I live at 651 Yakavona Street in Kent. And I have applied to be, I understand, a member of the Loan Review Board.
You just got to cheer.
Wait a minute, we sit up here.
Mr. Wilkes was on my phone a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
He said, I think we might have someone.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I understand there's also an opening on the Zoning Appeals Board, but that you can only sit on one board. So given that I have had my arm twisted and committed already, if this council deems fit, I would like to be on the Loan Review Board. I have a master's, I have a bachelor's in business from Kent. My husband teaches at Kent. I teach part-time there. I have a law practice. It is extremely varied. His health required us last year to move here, and I have no problem with it. I'm coming home. So I'm happy to be here. I'd like to be part of things, sort of. Do you have any questions? I have a finance background. I
moving
was a
to
real
Kent for
estate
health
broker
reasons. Everybody says move
in
out of Kent
Georgia.
for health reasons. That's the only one I got.
My broker license has lapsed. It is inactive, but it also is in Georgia, and Ohio doesn't recognize it anyway. So I have a license to practice law in Georgia. I have a license to practice law in Ohio. I've been doing it here for 33 years. I don't know what else to tell you. What would you like to know?
All right. Questions? Gwen?
I'd just like to ask, I generally ask it of anyone applying.
Sure.
Is why is it that you'd like to serve? What is it that made you decide to participate? Other than a phone call from Tom, were there any other reasons at all?
I'm going to give you my granddaughter's answer. My granddaughter's answer is, Grandma, you know you can't stay out of things. So really, I just kind of naturally get in things, and I thought it would be a nice introduction for me, reintroduction to the community. That's all. It's changed quite a bit since I was here in the 70s. So,
Thank you.
Okay, further questions, anybody?
Oh, I do.
Heidi?
Do you like the changes, or?
I'm an old dome person, so I kind of miss the dome.
Oh, it's here.
But I'm a lot older, so I shouldn't be there anyway. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I love the Troy restaurant. It's great. I like. No, it's very nice. The convention center is lovely. The School of Architecture moving that's quite incredible. Yeah, I'm pleased. It's a good move.
And the weather can't be beat.
My husband, I promised him snowstorms when he moved to this side of Cleveland. And he looked at me the other day and said, we left Medina and you took the snow back over there. So he's kind of unhappy that we really don't have snow this year.
Wait till tomorrow.
Just wait.
It's coming.
I assured him that.
We'll get it in April.
That this is the place to be for snow, but it doesn't seem to be
He said
holding up.
that cold's gonna pick up the lake effect.
It's coming.
Any more questions? Seeing none, we'll vote in 2 weeks, and thank you for applying.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
If
You
you'll
want to be
indul-
recognized, Bridget?
Yes, please. I just wanted to say I appreciate you volunteering, and we desperately need both positions filled, but I wanted to let you know, just in case, the revolving loan fund committee doesn't meet as often as the BZA, so that's something I want you consider.
I understand that it doesn't, but I understand there's a meeting on the 29th of February, so.
Okay, just want to make sure you're good with that. Thank you.
Mark your calendar.
All right, thank you.
I know. I like
Okay, next on the agenda, updated new city hall, Melanie Baker.
Hey.
Well, if you haven't had a chance to be over there, there's some really exciting stuff happening.
Steel's going up.
Yeah.
There it is.
You can see Dave's office.
What's that?
Your office. You can see where your
Right.
office is going.
Right.
You up there, isn't it?
Exactly.
All right.
Head's in the window.
But we'll give it a whirl.
See if that thing comes off. It came off on the other side. All right. Why is that thing not going away? But
Do you want me
anyways,
to press it?
yeah, could you press that for
I
me?
don't think it'll work
On
with
the
it.
other one, do I have to do
Push it.
Yeah, you can.
There it's going. There it goes.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Heidi.
job,
So the steel and cranes arrived mid-January, and as you can see, the steel has started to arrive. They're doing this very strategically because the site is very small, so there are small amounts being delivered basically twice a week right now. But as you can see, the cranes are there, and they're starting to lift everything up. This is council chambers. Pretty exciting to see the inside. First couple pieces went in the end of January, so actually before our beam signing. This is a large piece of steel being taken over the secondary stairwell to begin the administration side. So what you're looking at there is the large beam is going over the building, coming down to sit, and then the top right picture is looking into, as if you were standing in the open area, down into the administration area, and then both of the other two are just closer pictures of that. This is pretty exciting for me because one of the things that was really important to council was the ability to have being open to the public. So in the top left picture, that's standing basically on the outside. So the round walls here, those are the walls that are going up the hill, and then this area right here is the beginning of the foundation for our rounded atrium area. And then if you're standing in here, this is then looking back out to that intersection. So you can begin to see just exactly how open it'll be. You'll be able to see from front to back. So kind of nice to see it all going together. On the left-hand side, council chamber is completely enclosed. Pretty exciting. We will be able to start in another week all of the grounds work that needs to take place because, as you know, there's radiant heating in those floors as well as other plumbing, and then all of our electrical will go underground in there. So it's pretty exciting to see that all covered up. On the right-hand side then is now all three floors are there. So you see the main floor, the floor entrance from Water Street, and then the upper floor there as
Did you
well.
take that today?
Actually, those are pictures from today.
I was going to say, because it wasn't like that yesterday.
Yep, no, that is that close of business today. And
I drive by
so
it
then
3 or 4
again, you
times
can
a day.
begin to see, this is the second floor atrium that will look out over top, or the second floor balcony that'll look out over top the bottom there.
You get a couple folding chairs in there, we can have a meeting there.
We could, little
Long as
heat.
they wore a hard hat.
By the way, our gas line was extended last week, surprise to us, because they weren't supposed to be in for 2 weeks. And the contractor just showed up while we were unloading steel to tell us that they were opening a hole right where we needed to drop the steel. So it was a little dicey last week, but we're not going to complain because the gas is in. And of course, this last picture on the left-hand side, there's another beam going in over here, but as you can see, we're saving room for our last beam will actually go right there. So we're really moving along. It's very, very exciting right now. It goes up fast when they're doing it. The only time you won't see them working is when it's snowing and wet. Apparently there's a problem with ice on beams and water. You just can't do all that welding. So, but they're moving along great. So it's really coming, I mean, it's starting to pick up pace, so I'm feeling a little more comfortable in meeting some of our deadlines, and then hopefully being able to see us get in maybe a little bit early, but I don't want to jinx myself. So pretty exciting. So if you have a chance to get out there, we're looking at raising this beam right here, the beam that we signed, probably next Thursday. They will confirm that Monday or Tuesday with me. I'll get out a quick email, so if anybody's interested in being out there when they do raise that up in place, we'd love to have you out there for some photo ops, but at the very least, we'll be taking a lot of pictures when we do that. All right? Any questions?
No?
All right, pretty exciting.
Anybody? Good. Anybody from the audience? We got one person out there. The rest is all staff.
All right. Thank you.
No, thank you, Melanie.
Thanks, Melanie, looks great.
Okay, that's it for Committee of the Whole. Community Development, Mr. Kuhar.
Okay, we have Bridget with the Haymaker Farm Market sublease.
Yes, this is the annual renewal of the sublease to the farmers market. As a reminder, we can't do it as an unauthorized item. That's just automatically done because the city actually does lease that land from the railroad through a long-term lease, but it is something that we need to check with the railroad each year. So this is to allow them to use the lot from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. every Saturday, beginning with the first Saturday in April and extending through November.
Same price?
Yes,
Dollar.
$1. Yes.
Questions?
Everything else went up. I thought maybe you'd
Dollar
go to
store,
two.
Roger?
Yeah, Bridget, just out of curiosity, every year we have to get an agreement with the railroad?
We actually have a lease in place with the railroad, a 15-year lease. It was actually one of the last things Dan Smith did before he was diagnosed with cancer. So it's something every time I pull out that folder, I think of Dan. Many other things, but that's one I do for sure. The issue is that because we are subleasing it, so our lease is in place, and we have it, but we're doing a sublease. Their legal team needs to look at it. We have not experienced any difficulties or challenges with that, but it is something, there has been some transitions in some staff there. So it's taking a little longer than it normally does, but it's just not going to be an issue. So.
Okay, thank you. I thought we had a long-term lease.
Yes,
That's why
we
I was
do.
confused with it.
Yes, we do.
Any other questions from council? Anybody from the audience? What do we need on this, Bridget? Just approval?
With emergency, please.
Yeah. Back to council?
Move to authorize with the emergency.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Health and Public Safety, Mr. Amrine.
Yes, first topic on the agenda is Health Department PEP grant opportunity. Ms. Seidel.
Hello, good evening. So when we were back at 414 East Main Street, we had identified a concern for the need for a panic button in our department because we handle cash and credit card transactions every once in a while, an irate customer, and we were just concerned about the possibility of an active shooter situation. When we moved to PARTA, that same concern followed us, and I had brought that up, and in the meantime, since Nick has come on, he had also identified that as a problem. I went to him asking, could he help me develop an invoice for what the cost to get two panic buttons installed, and he said, I've already got that in the works. So that was something he saw as a need, and he was already planning on it. In the meanwhile, our public entities pool, which is our insurance, had identified that as a need that would maybe produce some cost savings if we had that installed. And they also have a grant. Annually, you can apply for $1,000 is capped as the most that you can get. So I did go ahead, because the deadline was in between meetings, I went ahead and applied for that, but it would help offset the cost. The total cost for both panic buttons to be installed would be $1,896. The grant would offset that by $1,000, so it would defer a little bit of the cost of getting the safety measure installed. So I come before council this evening to ask you if I am awarded the grant, could we please accept it and then appropriate the money so that I could pay Nick back?
Questions? John?
Yeah, does these panic buttons tie into an existing security system?
We have some cameras in the outer hallways, but there's really no security system inside, outside of the radios that we have, but those are more for like external emergencies so that hospitals or, fire department, we could communicate with them, or police, but it would be very awkward if somebody
So
had...
you're actually putting in a panic button that has tied into some type of a monitor?
Right, and it would go directly to dispatch, and I
Okay,
think it
so
would be a little bit
so it's
easier
a
to use
call
than picking up a
system.
phone. It would be like a bank, where they would discreetly be able to press the button and not have to pick up a phone or run to the emergency radio to pick that up and call dispatch through the radio.
Wi-Fi dial system then,
I don't know that it would be Wi-Fi.
or a call system of some
But it
kind?
would, it would be something that would immediately notify dispatch that we needed immediate assistance, yeah.
Further questions? Anyone from the audience? Back to council.
Move to approve with emergency.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Joe.
All right, thank you.
The second topic on our agenda is Ohio First Responder Grant Opportunity. Chief Scherer.
I think Chief Myers is going to come up with me here as well. So Chief Myers and I noticed this grant opportunity that came up last year, and we began working together on concocting a grant. So the state of Ohio, through the Ohio Emergency Management Agency, offered this opportunity for us to be able to provide for an employee wellness program for all first responders. So it would be both police, fire, dispatch, and our jail staff. Chief Myers and I worked together to identify 3 areas that would be most beneficial to our departments. The areas we identified are annual wellness checks for all of our first responders. It's not necessarily a fit for duty, but more of just a check-in to put them in front of some sort of a clinical counselor on an annual basis, just for their own well-being. The second phase of that we identified was an application-based, like a cell phone application-based wellness program. There are a lot of different options out there, and because the terms of the grant, we're not able to select one or commit to one over another. It's got to go through competitive bidding. But it puts resources right at your fingertips for all the first responders, where you have access to different information about mental health concerns, but also counselors on a 24-hour basis. And the third thing we identified that would be beneficial for all of our first responders is training. So we identified that all line-level employees could receive 4 hours of training on an annual basis about common things, common mental wellness issues that affect first responders. And then above and beyond that, we identified that it would be beneficial for our supervisors, from the lowest level supervisor up through Chief Myers and I, to go through training in symptom recognition and picking up on signs of mental wellness issues in the employees that work underneath of us. So in doing that, we started to compile some different numbers and work with people to find out, how much would all this cost. So what we identified is, over the course of a 2-year period of time, which this is ARPA money, so over the course of 2 years, the grant, we identified that it would be best for us if we could be awarded it's $102,500, and the state agreed with that. The state said, yeah, we think you would benefit from this. So the state has agreed to award us $102,500 for the program, and we're just here to ask for your approval and the ability to appropriate the funds once received.
Questions? John?
The only thing I was confused about was the first one you were talking about, to have annual wellness checks for all first responders. Doesn't our medical insurance just automatically require that, or have reimbursed, or, like I get an annual thing and they give me a $50 gift certificate,
So this would be an annual mental wellness check. We don't have the ability right now as a department. We don't compel people to do that. So there is
mental,
insurance.
not physical.
Insurance does come into play there. I mean, our insurance would cover some sort of a mental wellness as well. But this is something that we can, as departments now, compel our employees to do. Have all the employees do this. I won't speak for Chief Myers. I believe he did this step, but we've actually spoken to our unions to make sure, because we're compelling these people to do something that isn't in their contract. But we actually have the support of our unions on the issue to say it's worth it. And one of the things that I use when I talk to our unions is we know statistically in a department our size, and I'm just speaking police at this point, we know statistically in a department our size about 4 officers have thought about suicide. That's just based on statistics. We may not know who those people are. We may not know that these people may be struggling. That being said, the culture of first responder organizations is also historically one that makes that a taboo thing to go speak with somebody about. So a lot of this is about breaking that stigma. Not only is it okay to seek that, we're going to actually have you do that. We want you to do that. We're going to tell you you need to do that. Everyone. And one of the things that I've used with our unions to say, look, some of your members may not want to do this, but I think that all of your members can acknowledge that if it helps those 4 people, it's more than worth it for those people who didn't want to do it to go do it, and they agreed.
Wonder if they don't want to do it.
They have to.
Well, they have to.
They have to. They'd be compelled.
And you can do that.
Yes. Yes, because we have the support of the unions to say we'll support this.
Heidi?
And
I'm sorry.
Did you, I don't know, you spoke with your unions as well, too?
I have. There's been no resistance on their behalf. I think they're all for that and are very, very happy that we're addressing these types of issues. Just recently, unfortunately, up in Thompson Fire Department in Geauga County, there's a 33-year-old firefighter who took his own life. He was a Marine, and PTSD, I think, was involved. So very unfortunate, and it does hit the fire service, police departments, and so forth. It's there.
Further, John?
No, thank you.
Heidi?
I just want you to know that, I'm sure that you've explored some resources, but I'm just wondering if you looked locally. I do happen to know that Coleman has received a mental health awareness grant where we're going to be doing community trainings for different groups on mental health first aid and another awareness training called Question, Persuade, Refer. And that could be something that we could work with you guys on. I would imagine this would be kind of an ongoing thing.
Sure.
That you would be interested in.
And just to kind of answer that question the best I can, all we've done at this point really is reach out and try to get gauges of prices so we could apply for the right numbers for the grant. All this has to go through federal competitive bidding, so we haven't actually selected or reached out to specific vendors to say, anything like that. It's just we have to go through the federal competitive bidding process because of the amount of this grant, and it is federal ARPA money.
Gotcha.
Further questions? Anybody from the audience? Back to council.
Move to approve with emergency.
Okay, Gwen, second. Okay. Discussion? Roger?
Well, I'd just like to thank the chiefs, for your efforts of doing this. I think, the mental well-being of our first responders, the types of things that the general public, we only witness when we watch television shows and it's candy-coated. The reality is that our people are, under some very stressful issues on a regular basis, and I think this is, I know I appreciate that you guys are making the effort to put the grant together and getting awarded it. That's even better. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments? Heidi?
I was just really basically going to say the same thing about how much stress that first responders are under, and it's also a lot that stays in your body after an event, and so that I think it's really useful to look at holistic kind of trainings, a wide range of different kinds, so that people can learn self-care, not just being referred to a professional.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's great. I really applaud you.
Good. Thank you.
John?
Yeah, over the past few years between the pandemic and how society is changing and the adversity towards police, the stress levels have got to be high in both of your fields, and I think this is a great thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Got it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I just mention one little postscript on that, too? I don't know if you pay attention, but the budget, the governor's budget presentation was yesterday, and a big portion of what he talked about was additional state funding to go towards public safety in various forms, training, and just support. So I think you'll continue to see things like this. We were encouraged to see that they're sharing some of the money from the state, so we're already starting to figure out, okay, how do we get some of that once it becomes available? So you'll see more of that.
Thanks. That's all for health and public safety.
Okay, streets and sidewalks, Mr. Sidoti.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're going to hear, I believe, from Mr. Bowling, here he comes, on the Freedom Portage Bike and Hike Trail construction, maintenance, and use agreement with the Summit Metro Parks.
Good evening. Thank you. Since 2013, the Metro Parks and the city has been working on a way to try to connect the Freedom Trail and the Portage Hike and Bike Trail at Middlebury Road with an off-road trail. So the Metro Parks has been leading this venture, and they're ready to move forward, and we need an agreement for that between the two entities, because the trail of necessity is in the city of Kent, and it's going to be within the right-of-way of Middlebury Road. So the basic terms of the agreement are the Metro Parks would fund and construct the trail, and Kent will provide the Metro Parks the right to use the right-of-way, to construct the trail, and then to maintain the trail during its life. So we're requesting your approval to execute the agreement provided with an emergency.
Great. Questions from council? Yes, Mike.
So this trail is going to go down under the bridge and across the tracks?
No, so this trail, the way it's laid out, where
I was looking at the pictures, it looked like they went across the tracks.
It'll be a bridge. Okay, so the parking lot that was just built last year actually is at the top of the hill, and the trail actually comes out in gravel right now to Middlebury. It will cross Middlebury there. It'll run parallel to Middlebury Road, and with a new bridge over the CSX track.
Because that's what puzzled me. I'm going,
Yeah.
why would you want it to go over them tracks?
No,
Okay, I just must have seen that wrong.
And then a set of switchbacks to get it down
Yeah, I see that.
steep hill.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, Gwen.
First of all, I think this is fantastic. That was, basically, it ended any walking or biking. It's a harrowing little path corridor of doom. So this is phenomenal. And the fact that it's not, it is. Have you ever been on it? It's terrifying.
God, yes, that's right.
I mean, I wouldn't let the kids like this is the sidewalk ends, you know. So this is fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. And the fact that it's happening without a large amount of money. Any money, as far as I can tell.
That is correct.
Is wonderful. So I know I have to ask a question, so how long do you think it will take? If I have to ask a question, so you can
yeah, no problem.
ballpark
Okay, so first, let's talk about when it's going to start. The Metro Parks would like to go out to bid this spring. However, they have to get an agreement with CSX Railroad. And speaking with ODOT today, who's overseeing the project with the Metro Parks, they seem to be a little farther out than the spring to get started. So the money's actually set aside, the federal money's set aside for July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. So sometime in that time span, they'll be under contract. And after that, how long it's going to take to build will depend on supply issues with the prefabricated bridge. So 5 years ago, could have told you it would probably take about, 9 months to be done, but nowadays it's like, well, it could take 1.5 years to get the bridge prefabricated.
So Summit Metro Parks receive federal funding.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from council? Seeing no questions from council, anyone in the audience?
No, anything that
Okay.
me.
You got broad shoulders tonight.
Back to council.
Can we do it faster, please? Screaming would you like?
Back to council.
Move to authorize with emergency.
Second.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Jim, very
Yeah,
much
yay.
for pursuing this.
Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you very much.
Jim, I want you to know, since that's my neighborhood and my main track. When I saw those pictures, literally, I said, oh my God, almost 50 years I've been waiting for that to come in.
It's compelling.
And can I recommend that we do on the switchbacks, as I drove by there and I was trying to look, I think we ought to put a sign up there, corridor doom, and, have Gwen's,
It won't be anymore.
Yeah, no, it is, because that thing is up and, yeah. It's
That's
gonna-
the name of it.
I like it, the corridor doom.
I know,
Well,
it's buried in.
All right, Finance Committee.
I think Melanie's gonna come and tell us some NOPEC news.
You liked my sign idea, didn't you, Melanie?
Good evening. I am here back before you. Annually, we come to you, as always. NOPEC has this sponsorship grant program where they give back to the communities based on the number of residents and small businesses that were on our aggregation in the previous year. So this year, I'm pleased to announce that our community sponsorship grant is worth $3,500, and we'd like to request to be able to give that to Kent Skates and that project for next year. So that would be the 2023-2024 season, and we're very excited. That project itself is extremely successful. We are well beyond the 10,000 mark, and remember last year we ended with just under 15. We feel we're going to surpass that by probably around 2,500 attendees to that this year. So it's been well received, well liked, and we've had great weather for it. So we respectfully request your approval to be able to do this.
Questions? Oh, you're letting her off easy. Anybody in the audience have a question? Back to council.
Move to authorize with the emergency.
Second.
Any discussion? I guess not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And now we got Rhonda.
Oh, Rhonda.
Rhonda's always last.
Yeah.
So I'm here tonight for my first appropriation amendments that I'm asking council to approve.
Questions? I know you all read them, right?
Right here.
I did. Anybody in the audience have any questions? Back to council.
Move to approve with emergency.
Second.
Discussion? You did a lot of work on this, I'll just say. I could see that. I did look at it.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to adjourn into executive session. Jack?
Yeah, I'd like to move an executive session to discuss board and commission appointments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Roll call.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish? Yes. Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Give you about 5 minutes to clear the room.